Area Healthcare Center in Humboldt. She's gonna introduce herself.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to say I am having a wonderful time already. You ladies are fun and laid back and relaxed, and that's just what I need on a Saturday morning. Their shoes off and walking around, and I love it. But I just want to say greetings to the shepherds of the church. Brother and sister Haddon and Gordon, I appreciate you for allowing me to be here. Any other officers and ministers of the church, any lay leaders, and the wonderful members of this church, it is my privilege to be here. I thank Betty for asking me to be here and be a part of your Women's Day program. Your theme, my understanding, is too blessed to be stressed. So today I will be speaking with you a little bit about issues related to that topic. But before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about myself and my background. Again, my name is Adrienne Logan. I am a behavioral health therapist with Abbeville Area Healthcare Center. I have been with Abbeville in one capacity or another since January of 2016. Before Abbeville, I worked at Self Regional Healthcare for about 11 years. Before Self Regional, I was at McCormick Correctional Institution. So in between there, I've had other jobs throughout the mental health field. I did community mental health for McCormick Mental Health. I did private practice as a therapist for a while. I've done inpatient work in mental health. I've done intensive outpatient work in mental health. I do live in Greenwood. I am not originally from Greenwood. I think it's safe to say I'm a transplant. I've been there going on 18 years now. I came to Greenwood by way of Columbus, Ohio. I went to school for my graduate degree in Columbus, Ohio. My undergraduate degree was at Claflin University in Orangeburg, South Carolina, the best 4 years of my life, just in case anybody wants to know that. And so after Claflin, went to Ohio, got my master's degree there at The Ohio State University. And then I worked up there for 2 years, and then I got homesick for South Carolina. And so my mama got busy looking for me a job down here. And that's how I got to McCormick County Correctional Institution. They were doing mass hiring for counselors all over the state during that time. Born and raised in Anderson, South Carolina. That's where my parents are. I graduated from T.L. Hanna High School in Anderson. And so, and my parents were still there. I haven't lived there really since I graduated from high school, except for coming home for holidays. So, have been in the mental health field and licensed in this field over 20 years now, right at 20 years, a little more than 20 years. So this is my passion. This is what I do every day, all day. So to be able to talk to you about this morning, I had to really, I texted Betty, we were texting last night, I told her I had to scale it back a bit because I can tend to get too excited and go on and on and on about the topic, so I narrowed it down just a little bit. But I wanted to tell you just a little bit about myself and what I do and why this is such a passion for me. So when Betty first talked to me about coming to speak to you all, she asked me to speak on some issues related to anxiety and depression. And so I'm going to do a little bit of that today, and I'm going to tie it into Black women specifically. Don't you think that's appropriate? Okay. So I don't want to just talk at you, and I'm not going to be standing up here the whole time. I would like it if we could talk to each other. I just feel that's the best way for us to learn from each other and kind of get insight and feedback from each other on this issue of mental health. So, to open us up, I want to read something to you to kind of set the tone. And this is out of a devotional called Jesus Always. While you wait with me, I'll work on renewing your mind. As the light of my presence shines into your mind, darkness flees and deception is unmasked. However, there are many crevices where old thought patterns try to hide. My spirit can search out and destroy those enemies, but he awaits your cooperation. Habitual ways of thinking do not die easily. When the spirit's light illuminates a hurtful thought, capture it by writing it down. Then bring it to me so we can examine it together. I will help you identify the distortions and replace them with biblical truth. The more you focus on me and my word, the more you can break free from painful, irrational thoughts. They usually have their roots in distressing experiences that wounded you, so the distortions are deeply etched into your brain. You may need to recapture the same thought multiple times before you can gain mastery over it. But all that effort leads to a marvelous result: increased ability to live freely and enjoy my presence. So, and again, that's the devotion that's outlined in this book for today, which I thought is very appropriate, because when you think about anxiety and depression, a lot of that starts in our heads with what we are thinking about on a daily basis, every hour on the hour, every minute of that hour. So I'm going to read something to you. This is a story of a Black woman who dealt with her own mental health issues. And I want you to really pay attention and see if you hear any of yourself in this, or if you have a sister, or a grandmama, or an aunt, or a daughter-in-law, or anybody that you can think of when you hear this lady's story. This was a letter that was published, a story that was published in the newspaper, the Huffington Post, in 2005. I remember the first time I became aware of my own struggles with mental health. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I isolated myself from my peers, and I was extremely irritable and always frustrated with the world and with my life. I was 16 years old when I came to the conclusion that I could no longer handle the life that I was given, and I became suicidal. I was consumed and obsessed with the thought of ending my life. And I took the first step when I began to self-mutilate and neglect any health concerns related to my body. Now, at the age of 25, I take a look back at my fragile 16-year-old self and ask her, why didn't you get help? I see a young girl who is broken, bruised, hopeless, and searching for love and belonging. I silenced my hurts and my pains, and my thoughts had me enslaved. I carried on in life as if I were completely fine, completely normal. Yet, the tally marks engraved on my wrist were evidence that things weren't as good as I portrayed them to be. I was the student who never gave anyone any problems. I was the child who brought home good grades, and I was the quiet, shy, introverted young girl on the block who stayed out of harm's way. I was also the kid who came from a Panamanian immigrants who grew up living in poverty-stricken life and lacked resources until they came to America. I came from parents who grew up with the belief that feeding your family was your first priority. So how you felt was irrelevant, unless your feelings were going to provide food and shelter. I come from a cultural and ethnic belief that problems are to be dealt with on your own. The idea of seeking therapy was frowned upon and not respected. You don't pay people to handle your problems, you handle them on your own. So when I look back at my younger self and I ask her, why didn't you get help? I remind myself of how lonely and painful it would have been for me to publicly admit that I was depressed and suicidal. In my mind, I was raised to be a strong Black woman who could handle her own emotions, not ask someone to help sort them out. How dare I need treatment for feeling worthless and for being bullied when I come from a lineage of ancestors who use strength and endurance as a way to survive? But maybe our survival tactics are actually causing us more harm than prosperity. So just let that soak in for a minute. So there's a lot of issues that were brought up there. And I guess I just want to say, mental health is a part of all of us. And it's amazing to me how we will talk about all aspects of health but mental health. We will talk about the prostate, we will talk about the vagina, we will talk about breast health. We will talk about all aspects of health, but when it comes to mental health, no one really wants to talk about that. But it's an aspect of who we are. Just like we get our mammograms, just like men are supposed to get their prostates checked, just like you're supposed to get your screenings for your cholesterol and your diabetes and your high blood pressure. And you have no shame in that. Mental health is an aspect of health for all of us that needs to be tended to and monitored. And some of the things that I see most often in what I do every day, and it's hard to separate it out, people going through issues and struggling with symptoms of anxiety and depression. And they can overlap, and it's hard to know which comes first, the chicken or the egg, because you can be anxious about something that you have no control over and then get depressed about the thing that you have no control over. And so the one just kind of feeds off of the other, and the symptoms can mimic each other. You can be irritable when you're anxious, but you can also be irritable when you're depressed. You can overeat when you're anxious, but you can also overeat when you're depressed. You may not sleep much when you're anxious, but it also may just be difficult for you to sleep when you're depressed. So it's a lot of times you will find that those things overlap. The isolation and the loneliness that she describes. Well, I have seen those two things be a product of both anxiety and depression. People who are anxious, who have panic attacks, who feel like they're having a heart attack, who get nervous in crowds, they isolate because they feel, I need to just stay home because if I go out, I'm going to have another panic attack. Well, people who are depressed feel worthless and feel down and feel that they just need to withdraw. And so they stay in the house, sometimes in the bed, sometimes under the covers, not answering your phone calls, not responding to your text messages. And so again, you will find that those symptoms mimic each other. And again, I see it so much on a daily basis. And a lot of people wonder, okay, well, am I gonna get better? And how is coming to talk to you and seeing you gonna help me? So that's kind of like the broad view of anxiety and depression. Any of you, there was a lot of head nodding, and can any of you relate or to anything that I've said so far, or have any feedback or any questions on anything that I've said so far? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
But I do the math. I math if I go into my dad and go, unmasked and zero.
Right. So this comes to where we kind of narrow it. We started out with the broad view, so we're going to narrow it down. So the strong Black woman and our intersection with mental health, we take masking to a whole other level, the strong Black women, because our race and our gender almost dictates that we do, has dictated it historically. So, so I'll have people in my office who say, well, I'll come talk to you, but I'm not gonna see that doctor because I don't wanna be on any medicine. But they go home and they drink themselves to sleep. Well, that doctor said I needed such and such, but I'm not getting that prescription. I don't wanna be dependent on medicine. But you go home and you overeat and you gain 50 pounds since I've been seeing. So we have a habit, we don't want to because of the way we feel we will be perceived by society. But the worst thing is, how we will be perceived by one another. What if so-and-so knows, finds out, or sees me coming in and out of his office? What will they think? I had a woman come see me one time in full disguise. Yes, I'm telling you. She was in full disguise because she was afraid her family members were going to see her coming in and out of this particular building. Well, she canceled numerous times before she showed up for the first appointment anyway. But she finally got up her nerve to show up. She was in a disguise when she came, and she only came one time and never came back. So we worry about how we will be perceived by co-workers. We worry about how we will be perceived by family members. Some of our family members don't want us to get help because we end it, well, how is it going to make me look if you're going to see that doctor and you're taking medicine? People are going to think it's something wrong. People are going to think you're crazy. So it kind of boxes us in, which is the story that this young lady was telling. The traits that have led to our survival over the years, back through slavery, back through segregation, back through immigration, those things that helped us and got us through as strong Black women also work against us and create these symptoms of anxiety and depression. So when you're masking and you're hiding, it's coming out one way or the other. It's coming out one way or the other. You're either taking it out on people who have nothing to do with how you're feeling. You're self-medicating with alcohol, with food. People self-medicate with sex. They self-medicate with gambling. People who still work self-medicate by being workaholics. So you try to find ways to medicate those symptoms. So I'm going to ask you, what are some of the traits of the strong Black woman? What are some of the things that we've been taught? What are some of the things that you were taught growing up that have helped you to survive, but also maybe leading to your behaviors that could cause anxiety or depression? What are some of the things?
You might not be able to, take care of everybody but yourself.
Take care of everybody but self.
Being too independent.
I was gonna say the same thing, work and don't depend on nobody's money, but your own money is your, I always say sure money is your money.
Right. Right. So, again, what you guys are saying are things that have been researched. There was an article on anxiety and depression in Black women and the concept of a strong Black woman, the SBW. And it talks about how the two traits that are most prominent for us are the two traits that really contribute to our psychological distress. We're taught to be self-reliant and we're taught to be self-silent. If it's something bothering you, you don't have time to talk about that, nobody wants to know it anyway, you still got to get up and do what you got to do. But you do why you want to do. So we're taught to hide. So while that may be helping you survive and get from day to day, what is it really, what are you dealing with on the inside? And then you think about how does that intersect with you spiritually? You know, the African American community has a different relationship when it comes to mental health and how we deal with mental health issues. And when you add religion and spirituality in it, it becomes even more complicated because, well, you must not believe in God if you're going in there talking to that lady about your problems. You don't have faith? Why are you taking that medicine? And you go to church every Sunday, you don't need that medicine. But we don't say that to people who take medicine for diabetes. And we don't say that to people who take medicine for high blood pressure. And we don't say that to people who take medicine for high cholesterol. And we don't tell that to our brothers and sisters who undergo chemo and radiation for cancer. But for some reason, if you're attending to your mental health, well then you just must not be a believer. How do we get to that? So you got the shame of, what are my people I work with gonna think? Is this gonna put my job at risk? Well then what is my husband, what is my sister? What is my daughter? What is my mama? What is my daddy gonna think if he knows I'm getting help? And then, well, what is sister so-and-so gonna say if she happens to see me going in here talking to this lady? All kinds out I'm taking this medicine. So we have fears coming from every angle about how others are going to think of us attending to our mental. We can attend to any other aspect of our health and not have those same fears attached to it. But when it comes to mental health, we have this fear of how we're going to be judged and labeled on so many different levels. So we keep hiding, we keep masking, we keep silent, which makes us more and more anxious every day. And again, even if you watch TV, you'll see it. You'll see commercials about prostate health, products women can use to keep their feminine parts healthy and fresh. And we're getting a little better. You'll see a commercial sprinkled every now and then about a mental health issue, or every now and then about a medication that treats depression or anxiety, but nothing to the level of the other aspects of our health, which is why some people still hold that shame that goes with it. So you're a strong Black woman, so you got race and gender. We, out of any other ethnic group, and again, there's research on this, church and church going and church attendance, we lead the pack among all other ethnic groups in terms of worship and attendance. So you got your religion and spirituality, you got your race and your gender, you got all that coming together in terms of how you view and how you feel you are viewed related to mental health and mental health issues. Well, that makes me tired just saying. So I wanna just take a break. Any questions or any comments about anything I've said so far? Yes, ma'am.
I have a comment. I went through a lot of medical problems, recently, maybe a year or so, 2 years ago. And, well, I actually had gone through a cardiac arrest and had, come back to a couple days later. And they had me on so many different anxiety medicines. I don't know why they had me on them. I was just taking pills because, it was prescribed to me. But I have no idea why they put me on those. I have some small idea, because I remember when I first come to, I was doing a lot of whimpering, not really crying, but whimpering. And after they drugged me, so
Right.
it was just a plain, like, I wasn't feeling drugged,
Right.
but it was just a plain mellow feeling. But I wasn't in touch with my inside,
So,
with who I am.
right,
So I feel like now that I have taken myself off of those medicines, I'm in touch with Wendy.
right.
I'm not in touch with, I'm not just this mellowed out person.
Right.
Not feeling drugged
Right.
mellowed out,
Right.
but
So, your comment has a lot of layers to it, so number one, there are certain medical events that happen with people that they know is just gonna make them more prone to anxiety and depression. So on a proactive end, they try to go ahead and prescribe those medicines to minimize those symptoms or keep them at bay. Like research has shown that stroke victims are prone to depression. So they may, even before you have a whole list of symptoms, go ahead and put you on a small dose of something in hopes of curbing it or keeping it at bay altogether for the short term. The other thing is related to what you said, and I really want to thank you for bringing it up. It's not just about seeking mental health treatment, but it's about being your own mental health advocate. So I may go see Dr. So-and-so, and Dr. So-and-so may do a thorough evaluation of me, but that doesn't mean that I can't ask Dr. So-and-so questions. Can you explain this medicine to me again and what it's supposed to do for me and to me? And how long will I need to be on it? And what side effects might I have? And if I need to come off of it, am I gonna have any problems coming off of it? First of all, if you're going to a reputable doctor, they're supposed to explain that to you anyway, out of the gate. But, and if you're not alert and aware because of the event that you've gone through, that's when family and friends come into play. Somebody needs to be advocating for you and asking questions. And I know not everybody's in a situation where they have that level of support. I do understand that. But if it's possible, just because somebody has letters behind their name, doesn't mean that questions can't be asked. You are a consumer. They're providing services for you. So you have the right to get the information, or the people who are in charge of you, or your next of kin, or your powers of attorney, or whoever have the right to ask those questions. But a lot of times that's where we fall off. We may get to the point of getting the help, but we may not advocate as strongly as we need to because we're already embarrassed about being there. So I don't want to ask any questions. I'm going to come in here and tell you whatever you need. I need to tell you so you can give me whatever you need to give me so I can hurry up and get out of here. And that's just the reality of it. So what you're saying, you make some valid points. The third thing that I'm glad you brought up related to the medicine, a lot of times people don't want to take the medicines because of how the medicines make them feel. They feel numbed out. They feel like, they're not attached to anything or anybody. And so that's the point when you call your doctor, you call your doctor's nurse, you make a doctor's appointment and you say, I might need this medicine, but I don't like how it's making me feel. Can I either come off of it, or is there anything else you can give me to help me that won't make me feel like this? Even though a doctor prescribes medicines for you, you have a right as a patient to make independent decisions about what you will and won't do medically. Never forget that.
I think they don't keep us in touch with ourselves. That's how I feel about, that type of medicine. Even though I came from strong black woman syndrome or what have you. But,
There's different classes of medicines, not all of them do that. I know what you're talking about. So it's a trial and error kind of thing. But what you're describing, that does happen with certain classes of medicine. So you're absolutely correct on that. And I'll have people come in my office and say, I saw Dr. So-and-so 3 weeks ago, and he or she put me on such and such, but I can tell you right now, I can't function. I'm not gonna be able to take this. And so sometimes that's where having someone in the middle can be beneficial to you. Me as a therapist on a number of occasions have gone to doctors on my client's behalf to let them know, I just saw Ms. Jones, the medicine is helping her symptoms, but she can't get out of bed before 12 o'clock. Yes, ma'am.
Is medication always the answer?
It's not. Medication is not always the answer, and medication isn't always long-term. And some doctors will refer you to therapy in addition to or instead of, because they want to see, can the therapy have as much benefit separately or in combination with the medication. So it's not always a medicine issue. It's just like me and what I do. I'm licensed to provide mental health services, but I'm not licensed as a physician. So I don't prescribe medication. And I have people who come to me who say, I told my doctor I'd come talk to you, but I don't want any medicine. So medicine doesn't always have to be the issue. Yes, ma'am.
But one of the problems we also have is we hold such high esteem for people with the letters behind their names that we won't ask questions, we won't advocate for ourselves, find out what's going on. We just write us a script, we feel it, we go on.
Right. That's why I try to make it a habit of telling my people, you absolutely have the right. We're providing a service. We're human service professionals. Whether it's an MD, a PA, an NP, it doesn't matter. We are in the healthcare profession, and you are consumers of our services. And as a consumer and a patient, you have rights to ask questions. Now, the way that person's schedule is set up is not your problem. If they got 25 patients they need to see that day, that's not your issue. You come in with your list of what you want to make sure you talk about before you go, and they'll have to deal with their schedule once you're gone. That's the way I look at it, and that's what I do when I go to any medical appointment. But you're right. Some people don't want to offend. They don't want their doctors to be mad at them, or they don't want their doctors to think that they don't know what they're talking about. They think they don't know what they're talking about. Or they don't want the doctor to kick them out. But you have the right to know what you're being prescribed, what it's supposed to do for you, what can it do to you, how long do you need to be on it, what will happen if you come off of it. Those are legitimate questions. So, how do you put together the spirituality and the religion piece? The person who will tell you, well, you must not be a believer if you're on that medicine. Oh, you don't pray? How can you pray and take that medicine at the same time? Oh, I thought don't you go to church? Why are you going over there talking to that lady? Look at she look for you that God can't look for you. I want to hear some feedback on that. Because y'all know we do that, right? Okay. And it's done off